Hello, I'm Dr. Rick Durst from Golden Gate Seminary. I teach theology there, and this is the third conversation about the relationship between science and Scripture with particular reference to Genesis chapter 1. Now, I want to focus on the 5 attempts to integrate science and Scripture with reference to the biblical doctrine of creation. I'm not going to try to speak focus on one particular, but to put all 5 in front of you so that you can think about them. 2 of those theories are younger theories. One of them, of course, is the well-known flood hypothesis, which looks very carefully at the creation of the flood story in Genesis 6 through 8 and 9, and to look at the geological record, the fossil record, and ask questions. What would that record look like if some sort of global cataclysm had occurred? Would it make the Earth look far older than actually it is? If God created it in 6 days, then those that hold to this hypothesis think that the Earth and the universe is about 35,000 years old. So that's theory number 1, younger theories. Theory number 2, younger theory, is called the ideal time hypothesis. And what it says is basically, if God was creating Adam out of the dust, God would have created him with a belly button. If God created full-grown trees and you were to cut down one of those trees, there would have been rings. Now, you and I know that each year of life in a tree, it develops a new ring based on the climate and other issues affecting the life of the tree. So if you had sawn down one of those trees, on the 8th day, it would have had rings because God created it as a fully grown tree. Ideally, it would have looked like it was created over a long period of time, even though God created it in one of the 6 days. So that's the ideal time. That's a younger theory. The first old Earth theory is called the gap theory. In Genesis chapter 1, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Period. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the earth." Those that hold to this hypothesis believe that there's a gap between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2. That God created the earth, and because of perhaps the fall of Satan, all that God had created was put into chaos and was without form. And so there are billions of years in that formless time period. And then in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, God recreates, reorganizes life on earth. And that's how the earth looks. The universe is so old, but God still recreated it in 6 literal days. The second older theory doesn't really involve any of these slides. I'll turn that off. Is called the age-day theory, and it focuses on the vocabulary in Genesis 1 through 3. How is the word day used? You remember that God warned Adam and Eve, on the day you eat of this tree, you will die. On the day that you eat of it, but they didn't die within that 24-hour period, so how do you understand day there? Earlier in Genesis chapter 1, the end of the first day, but the sun and the moon hadn't been created, so in what sense does day mean there? Could day mean something like an age? So it's 6 ages of creation. So Genesis, in this hypothesis, doesn't necessarily require 6 24-hour days of creation, but 6 ages of creation. The final old Earth theory is called pictorial day, which says that this is not necessarily meant as a chronology, even though it uses, at the end of the day, 6 different times, but it's meant to be giant murals of God in his creative acts. And there's a sense of order in that creation, and so it's meant to be more a literary device to get all of creation in front of us as something that God's hand was involved in. So what I would challenge you to do is think about those 5 theories. 2 of them are young Earth, 3 of them are old Earth, and see which fits and suits you better as you try to integrate science and Scripture, reason and revelation together. I wish you well in that adventure.